Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar, learning a little bit more about CIEE's TEFL certification courses. We're here today to just kind of talk a little bit about the 4 different options that we have and which one might work best for you, especially, depending on what sort of personal or professional goals that you're looking to accomplish. So let's get started. So today I want to talk a little bit about who is CIEE and how does kind of the CIEE, the TEFL department fit into that. What is TEFL? It's an acronym, and what does it stand for, and learning a little bit more about that. We'll jump into the 4 different courses that we provide, our 150-hour, 60-hour, 30, and 180-hour TEFL course. And then we'll talk about, for 2 of our courses, our 150-hour and our 180-hour course, we do require a practicum, and that's an independent practicum. And right now, in the middle of a pandemic, it's really hard to think about actually going into a classroom and completing some of those hours. And so we've got some tips, some support that we're able to provide applicants and our students for completing that practicum. And then we'll talk a little bit about eligibility requirements. And then if you're, liking what you hear and what you see, we'll move forward with those next steps and letting you know kind of what you should be doing to enroll in a course. And then we'll open it up with Q&A at the end. So we'll start off by talking about who is CIEE. So CIEE, we are a nonprofit, non-governmental organization. We have been around for more than 70 years. CIEE TEFL is a branch of CIEE in general, and we've been around since about 2014. We've been working with our Teach Abroad team and offering certification courses to those that are interested in teaching abroad, interested in teaching online in their home communities, all sorts of areas. And so, our goal is to help people gain those knowledge and skills to live in our globally interdependent world today. So we're excited for that. Our CIEE TEFL team, we've got our director, Stephen Bush, on the left-hand side. He's the director of our Teach Abroad and TEFL departments. You can find myself, Samantha, right in the middle here, managing the TEFL department, and our academic coordinator, Belen Rojas Ruiz. She works primarily with our tutors. She does a lot of operations. So if you have inquired about our CIEE TEFL courses, if you've potentially even started a course or taken another one of our courses that we've had, you've likely interacted with Belen. Today, we'll jump back a little bit, just to see kind of who we've got joining us today. Who are you? Share a little bit about, maybe where you're from, what you're looking to do with a TEFL certification, or what's the interest, what's bringing you here today that you're interested in learning more about our TEFL courses. So if you don't mind, feel free to type something into the chat box. You can, anything that you think would be that you'd be comfortable sharing. Like I said, it could be name, it could be where you're from maybe, or what you're looking to get out of a TEFL certification, or what's bringing you here today. And I'll give it just a quick moment. Okay, so I'm seeing some things coming in. We've got someone here that is interested in working abroad. And that is one of the most common things that we're going to see if you're interested in getting a TEFL certification is getting that certification, and how is that going to help you get that position abroad. There's so many different places and countries you can go to. I personally have taught abroad in South Korea for 2 years, and I absolutely loved it. And one of the requirements was a TEFL certification. So it makes sense. I seen someone else looking from here in Maine. Awesome. So we've got someone local also mentioning that they're interested in working with their local ESL community. So that's another great reason to get TEFL certified, to kind of give back to your community. It could be working with refugees. There's a lot of, you could be working for nonprofit organizations. You could be working in schools, helping, maybe young students learning a second language. So, or learning English as a second language, all wonderful, wonderful options for getting a TEFL certification. So thank you to all of you that contributed, and to those of you that are joining us today. It's always helpful just to kind of see who your audience is, and hopefully that can help me answer some specific questions that you might have about getting TEFL certified. All right, so let's just kind of go to the basics of what is TEFL. So TEFL is an acronym for Teaching English as a Foreign Language. And we provide, or in general, typically what you would get is you would get TEFL certified. So you're getting certified to teach English, as it's showing, teaching English as a foreign language. And a lot of courses, when you're getting TEFL certified, you're going to find a lot that are online or in person, or sometimes like kind of a hybrid mix of the two. So CIE TEFL, we provide strictly online courses for all of our students and those interested in getting TEFL certified. And when taking a TEFL course, it's going to kind of focus on a lot of different skills, but I mean, you're going to learn a lot about intercultural competency, thinking about things like what works in your culture, what works in your culture might not work in the culture that you're teaching, especially if you're going abroad, or even if you're working locally and maybe you've got students from various different backgrounds, you're going to learn a little bit about that. Then we'll kind of even dive into actually actual language and teaching methods. It's going to talk about the different learning styles for your students and then kind of how you can cater those teaching activities to fit those multiple styles and kind of help reach as many students as possible. And the other thing, and of the many things that we'll talk about in our TEFL course that we provide, and even TEFL courses in general, is lesson planning. It's gonna help you get prepared for the classroom. A lot of courses, as CIE TEFL is included, is going to include a practicum. And I would really, really suggest making sure that if you are interested in TEFL course, that that's something that you're going to look for when applying for a course to join. And the biggest thing for that is because a lot of schools, especially if you're planning to teach abroad, they want to know that you have experience in the classroom, even if it's just a few hours or 10, 20, 30 hours of experience. It's going to make them feel a lot more comfortable, and it's going to kind of help set you apart from other applicants when applying for these positions. And as I mentioned, CIEE offers hours strictly online. And the really nice thing about that is that it's going to provide a lot of flexibility for you. We're coming into the time now where everybody's working remotely, or many people are able to work remotely, and seeing that it's really working. And so this is really cool. A way to complete your practicum, or your TEFL certification, is that you're able to do it really just from the comfort of your own home at any time. So, and we'll jump in a little bit more about it when we talk about some of our specific courses. But the nice thing is a lot of them are going to kind of be like a work at your own pace sort of thing. So it's not that you're stuck in a classroom, even a virtual classroom, from 8 to 2 or 9 to 5 or something like that. You're able to kind of come into it when you're free, maybe in the evenings, mornings, weekends, things like that. And the TEFL certification, it's there to help prepare educators for, like I mentioned, positions abroad or in their local communities. There's so many different options to be able to use your TEFL certification. So within CIE TEFL, we offer 4 different certification options, and I will dive into each of those certification options in the following slides, and then kind of help narrow down which one might work best for maybe your background or the goals that you're looking to accomplish with getting a certification. So our most common one, our flagship course, is our 150-hour TEFL certification course. That one is going to include 130 hours of online coursework, strictly online, completing it pretty much at your own pace. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the coming slides, but it does include that practicum that I mentioned. That's super important and super helpful in not only preparing you for that position, but really setting yourself apart from some of your other applicants that may be applying for a similar position as you. Our 60-hour TEFL certificate, that one is basically pulling the major pieces from our 150-hour course, the most important modules and teaching content, and putting it into kind of a foundational course. And so it's a great kind of introduction to TEFL and seeing whether or not this is something that you want to do long term. And the nice thing about it with us is that we do provide that option that if you are really enjoying that TEFL course, the 60-hour one, you're able to actually transfer to the 150-hour course. You're just going to pay that course fee difference. We have our 30-hour TEFL certificate as well. And so that one is typically a supplemental certification that you're going to get. Maybe you've already have a TEFL certificate, or you're interested in completing one with us like 150 or 60, the 30-hour is going to offer age specialized content. So it's going to allow you to choose one of 3 different themes or subjects that you want to learn more about teaching specifically, and that's young learners, teens, and adults. And then our 180-hour certification is actually basically, it's a bundled program. So it's our 150-hour TEFL certification course bundled with one of those age specialization courses. So let's dive a little bit into the courses themselves. So our 150 hours, as I mentioned, is our flagship course. It is the most common one that our applicants sign up for, and mostly because it's the internationally recognized one. So that's the one that if you want to teach abroad, I'm going to recommend the 150 hours certification course, because a lot of countries, especially countries of Asia and a lot of countries in Europe, they're going to require that you have a certification that's at least 100, if not more than 120 hours. And then oftentimes they do include a practicum, or they do require that you have some teaching experience. And so of this 150-hour course that we offer, 130 of that is going to be online. And so it's spread over an 11-week period. So it's still work at your own pace, in the sense that you've got 1 week to complete, X amount of readings, quizzes, and assignments. And then once you've completed that week, your next module is going to open up. So it's going to guide you through that to make sure that you're staying on track, you're not falling behind, and to also allow you to be a little bit it's allowing you to join a cohort, to feel a little bit more involved and have a community of students and your teacher that you're with for the course, because we do cap all our course class sizes to 16 students. And so it's much more personable. You have a qualified personal tutor in that course that's dedicated to you and your classmates. And so it's really great. And our tutors are all of our CIEE TEFL tutors all hold a minimum of a master's degree or higher. We have some with PhDs as well, and they have degrees in education, teaching, linguistics, any sort of related field. So they're very qualified and familiar with our teachings, and great people to be working with. And I would say on average, if I'm comparing maybe a workload for completing the assignments, it's also always going to depend on the person specifically, but on average, we say it takes about 15 to 20 hours to complete that online coursework each week. We also include this the 20-hour practicum in our 150-hour course, and that's something that actually can be completed any time. So you're not necessarily doing 11 weeks all online and then completing your practicum. You very well can. You've got 30 days after you've completed that online coursework window to complete it. But oftentimes we recommend starting it in the middle of your course, and then kind of utilizing some of those skills that you've learned in your course towards your practicum. And it gives you a little bit more time to complete your practicum, especially, for working, if you're working full time, or maybe your schedule is limited, maybe you have a family to think about as well. Giving yourself a little bit more time to complete that practicum and spreading that 20 hours out, it can be really convenient. And I'll talk a little bit more about the practicum opportunity and kind of how we're able to support you in that, especially during, the pandemic, which can be really difficult to secure some practicum opportunities. We'll share a little bit more, but it's a great opportunity to get some real world experience before starting a long-term or full-time teaching position. So it's really going to help you out. As I mentioned before, so we've got our 60-hour TEFL certification course, and that one is basically a foundational knowledge of TEFL. So this one is going to be extremely self-paced. So whereas our 150-hour course, it's spread over 11 weeks, where you have assignments due each week, and you have to stay on track with those. However, with the 60-hour TEFL certificate, this is meant for you to pick up anytime over a 6-month period. So you could complete it in as little as 6 weeks. If you're, diligent, you're working, maybe 10, 12 hours a week on the assignments and readings and the course itself, you could definitely complete it sooner. But it gives you up to 6 months to complete, which is nice, so that you can, if you've got something coming up that's important, and you need to take a few days off, you're not worrying about meeting any deadlines because you've got that spread over 6 months. And we'll be in touch with you along the way to make sure that you are staying on track, just so that you don't leave it all to the very end. This one doesn't include a practicum, so there is no practicum required for this course. I would say it's going to be most ideal if you maybe are a current educator looking for maybe a refresh, or maybe you're a public school teacher and you're teaching other subjects, but you're not specifically teaching English, but you actually have some ESL students in your classroom. It could be a really great way to get a little bit more experience under your belt with teaching English as a second language or as a foreign language to students in your classroom. And as I mentioned before too, that you can always, anytime during the course, you could transfer to our 150-hour TEFL course, and you're just paying the difference of those course fees. The downside is that maybe you've completed 2 or 3 modules out of this 60-hour certificate. You don't get to bring that work over to the 150. So you are starting fresh with the 150-hour course, but at least you kind of know what to be familiar with, and it's still really great opportunity. Our 30-hour TEFL certificate, as I noted, this one is going to be a deep dive into age-specific content. So if you know you are going to Spain to teach elementary school age students, then adding the young learners TEFL certificate is a great option. It's going to really talk about geared activities towards younger students versus adults. The games that you're going to play, while oftentimes you're going to see a lot of the foundation very similar, the activities themselves are going to be different, and maybe the personality, the way that you're teaching the course, all those sorts of things are going to depend on the age group that you're teaching. So able to do a little deep dive. This course is guided. So we're going to work with you over the 3 weeks. You'll have a personalized tutor dedicated to your course, and making sure that you're completing an assignment each week, a quiz, doing all the readings, and just completing everything on time. Because it's only 3 weeks and it's just kind of diving into that age specific training, does not include any sort of practicum. And it is typically taken, I would say, it's often taken as a supplemental piece to a larger certification. So if you were, for example, applying to teach in Asia, maybe South Korea, China, somewhere like that, and you just had a 30-hour TEFL certificate, it would not suffice. It's not going to cover the international standard for that. So this is more solidifying the experience of certification you already have, and getting that specialization, or helping to maybe supplement if you're a current educator and you just want a little bit of more specialized training in that area. And then finally, we have our 180-hour TEFL certification. And so as I had mentioned before, that one is going to basically be our 150-hour TEFL certification bundled with one of those 30-hour age specialization courses. And so what's going to happen is you'd start off with that 150-hour course. We'd enroll you in that. You would be working over an 11-week period for that course. And then once that course is complete, or around the time that you're almost done with that course, we would then talk to you about, okay, which age specialization are you interested in, and get you enrolled in that course as well. There might be a little bit of overlap because our 30-hour age specialization is actually offered quarterly. So we offer it 4 times a year. And so depending on when your 130 hours of online coursework is ending, we'll try to make sure that it can be as smooth of a transition as possible to get you straight into that 30-hour and get that whole full 180 completed. So for our 150-hour certification and our 180-hour certification courses, we require a 20-hour practicum. And this is something we will go super, super in depth with you. If you sign up for the course, you're going to know it so well, because you're going to have so many resources and materials on it. But something that's just a quick kind of overview of it is, of those 20 hours, we do have it broken down into specific categories. And the reason for that is because it's super important to kind of get a more well-rounded, we really want you to get a more well-rounded experience with your practicum. And so we require that at least 2 of those hours of your 20 has to be observation. There's a lot of value in that, in seeing someone teach, other than you just kind of going out there and doing it. There's a lot of value in that. I mean, you can see what a good teacher is, what a bad, maybe not so great teacher is. It's just so many good things to go along with observation. So minimum 2 hours there, and then 8 hours of active lead or co-teaching. And so that's going to be typically like you in a classroom setting, maybe you're running the whole class, you plan the lesson, you're managing that class, or it could be, maybe there is a lead teacher in the classroom and you're supporting them and you're helping them. That is going to count, but we want to make sure you're getting that active role in the classroom or virtual classroom too. There's a lot of flexibility in that sense. And then the last 10 hours, because getting a TEFL certification is not, there isn't one specific person that signs up for a TEFL certification. They sign up for it for all different reasons: teach abroad, to work in the local communities, to teach online, one-on-one teaching, private tutoring, so many different options. And so we really want to make sure that you're getting experience teaching in something that is important to you, or something that's going to actually, support your professional endeavors or your future endeavors with those goals. And so we're going to open that up and allow you to do more observation if you want. You could do one-on-one tutoring or that active leader co-teaching in the classroom. And, in general, CIEE TEFL is always going to provide these resources, and we always have. But in light of the pandemic and making with a lot of schools and organizations being closed down and having everyone having to social distance, it's made it a little bit trickier for our teachers to get their practicum completed. And so we've been able to grow some partnerships where we're able to provide opportunities to complete that practicum virtually. So we have a relationship with a partner in Costa Rica where you're able to actually teach members of the community that are typically in high poverty, low income areas, and they're usually high school students or even young adults. And so it's a really cool opportunity where you're able to virtually teach them, get to know them. A lot of these virtual opportunities a lot of them are focusing on kind of just communication, social skills, working with students, getting them to talk and be interested in learning in English. We have a relationship with a partner in New York where you're able to help teach adult immigrants English. And then we've got connections with adult ed centers, public schools, online teaching, tutoring, so many resources. We've got a huge map of places all over the US, and it's slowly growing, but outside of the United States as well, for those that are maybe living abroad. So when you're thinking about, you've learned about those 4 courses, which one is going to be the best one that suits you? Because there's so many options, which one do I choose? And so we've kind of broken it down for you based off of kind of what goals that you're looking for. So I'm actually going to jump to the far right and talk about the TEFL, the 30-hour TEFL certificate. So that one, as I have mentioned, it's really to support a larger TEFL certification, or if you are a current teacher and you're looking for a little bit more age-specific teaching for English as a foreign language or English as a second language, then that's what's going to be really helpful. I would say it's going to be the least common of the 4 options that you have to choose from when choosing a course, just based off of what majority of people are looking for in a TEFL certification. Then we'll jump to the middle for the 60-hour TEFL certificate. As I mentioned, that's a really great foundational piece. So if you're interested in TEFL and a large TEFL certification, maybe you don't want to spend as much money on it right now because you just want to see, like, is this right for me? Is this what I want to do? Or you're a current educator and you're looking to get a little bit more experience, or you have an ESL learner in your classroom. Things like that is going to be really helpful. Volunteering in your local community. 60-hour TEFL certificate is going to be great. People are going to really gravitate to that, and they're going to be totally fine. A lot of organizations will be totally happy to accept you as a volunteer in their community if you've got that certification as well. And it just kind of depends if you're interested. Oftentimes, maybe in your own community, but like private tutoring can be helpful. Having a certificate for that could be really helpful. I would say online teaching, which is I'm going to put into that 150, 180-hour bucket, because a lot of positions are going to require that you have those additional credentials, higher credentials for those. And then jumping then to the far left, our 150-hour or 180-hour TEFL certification. That one is the one kind of the gold standard if you're going to be going abroad to teach English, because you're going to meet that international standard. You're going to be able to pretty much teach in any country that you're interested in. If you planned to do, you're looking for a lead or co-teaching position in your local community, you're probably going to need a larger TEFL certification for that. And that's where that 150 or 180-hour certification will come in handy for you. And then again, online teaching, that's thinking, kind of like VIP Kid, Dada, like those sorts of organizations are going to require that you have that international standard of at least 100 to 120 hours. So maybe you've narrowed down which one you might be interested in, but you want to know, are you eligible? Like, so what else do you need to get TEFL certified? What's required of you? So here are the eligibility requirements for our TEFL courses. We require that you have native or that you are a native or bilingual English speaker to sign up for the course. We do accept non-native English speakers. They are eligible to take the course, but we are going to want to make sure that you've got that high enough English proficiency to really be able to succeed and excel in the class. And so we do require the equivalent of a C1 English level proficiency. We want to make sure that you've got, the course is completely online. So we want to make sure that you've got access to a computer or a tablet and that you've got consistent access to the internet. And you must be 18 years of age or older. We don't require any minimum amount of schooling. I would say, though, and this is going to depend on where you want to teach, what you want to do with your TEFL certification. But for example, if you wanted to teach abroad, a lot of organizations are going to require that you have at least a bachelor's degree, if not higher. So usually that's a minimum. It's not what CIEE TEFL specifically requires, but thinking ahead, if maybe you wanted to do that, they might require that. If you wanted to work in a public school or a private school in your local community, they might require additional teaching license that you need to be able to then get a position there in addition to having that TEFL certification. So those are things to think about, but nothing that's going to bar you from being eligible or being able to take a TEFL course through CIEE. So there's a lot of providers out there. There's a lot to choose from. It's kind of hard to narrow it down and to know what's the best one to choose. And so you might be asking why choose, CIEE TEFL? What's so great about us? So I've got a few things I want to share. I mean, I think we're really wonderful department, run wonderful organization that's here to provide you with the utmost support. I mean, you're going to work directly with our team. We're going to help you from the time that you're even thinking about taking a course, the time you're in a course, to even when you graduate from that course, when you receive that certification. So we're always going to be there for you. We've got staffing hours. We're a global staff, so we've got staff in Madrid and in Portland, Maine, and so we've got some pretty flexible time frames that we're able to work with you. And then you're also going to have that personal tutor in your classroom as well, which is going to be someone that's going to help. Is just going to be working on your assignments with you, giving you advice, feedback, all of those sorts of things. And it's a really one of a kind situation, and I think it's something that I'm very proud that we have. Our classes are small. You're not in a big group. You're not being lost in the crowd. We cap those classes at 16. And so you're going to feel, you're going to have a sense of community in those courses. And I think that's what's really important and is a motivator to keep working in the course itself through those 11 weeks. We are also accredited through ASSET, which is the Accrediting Council for Continuing Education and Training. And so ASSET, they've, since 1978, they've actually been recognized as a reliable authority from the US Department of Education. So we've basically, the point of an accreditation is them kind of checking to make sure that we are providing a quality course, that we're being fair and equitable to our teachers, to our students, and that we have proper policies in place to protect the students as well, and like I said, to kind of maintain that quality of the courses. Another great reason why joining CIEE TEFL is that you're going to be a part of our alumni network once you've completed our course. We've got it's more than just teaching a teaching certification. It's our Teach Abroad department. It's study abroad. It's exchanges. It's so many different opportunities and different venues that are opening up and allowing you to be a part of that. We've even recently begun or opened up the opportunity to an alumni referral program where if you refer someone to one of our TEFL courses to our teach abroad programs, you actually get a $200 bonus from that. And then the person you're referring does too as well, gets $200 off their course there and stuff. And so it's a really great opportunity to just kind of grow your personal network. And it's a wonderful, wonderful thing to be a part of. And our TEFL certifications, they're lifetime. They don't expire. So maybe you want to get TEFL certified today. Maybe you teach abroad next year. Maybe you put it off for 5 years and then you go. It's still going to be valid. You're still going to be able to use that certification. So if you're interested in moving forward, there's a few things to think about. So you might have more questions. I, definitely didn't cover it all. Didn't want to bore you with too much of the nitty gritty at this point, because I know a lot of you are interested in just kind of learning the basics and determining whether or not you want to move forward. So if you do, reach out to us. Let us know if you've got any questions about what we talked about today, or anything that maybe wasn't even answered. Happy to share. So just to share more information. So just reach out to TEFL at CIEE.org, and we're happy to answer any questions. You can visit our website. That's also going to include a little bit more. On our website will include kind of an outline of our syllabus for each of the classes of the syllabi, and you can just see a little bit more about what each course entails, which can be really helpful in determining if the content is something that you're interested in. And we've got course start dates pretty much starting every 2 weeks. And so on the screen, you can see the next upcoming courses that we've got, but pretty much every 2 weeks thereafter. So feel free to, if you're interested still in maybe a month or two, start an application now, and we'll be in touch with you, and we can even get you down for something that's maybe 8 to 12 weeks away. All right. I want to thank everybody that joined us today. You've all been such wonderful listeners. And if you've got any questions, you're welcome to input them into the chat box now. I'm happy to answer some questions live for those that want answers now and don't want to wait. Type them into the questions box. Let me know if you want to ponder on things a little bit. Think about it, and you can email us later at tefl@ciee.org. And there's a slightly longer hyperlink at the bottom there, but you can chat with us. Maybe what you want to talk about, it just feels better to chat with someone in person. Let's do it. Schedule a call with us. Let's talk about it, and kind of help answer some of those questions for you. I see a question asking about payment plans. So we do provide payment plans, but the biggest thing to consider with that is you can't actually start the course until your course fee is paid in full. So we're able to split up that payment for you, but let's say you wanted to start with that March 15th course, that full payment would have to be paid by then. If you wanted to wait for a May course, then we could split up that payment into a few different segments and have that paid by the time that you started that course in May, for example. And I'll leave it open for just a few more minutes in case we have any additional questions regarding the course, signing up, anything along those lines. I see a question here asking if there's any, or kind of what the course is entailing, what sort of assignments. Okay, so we've got, with each of the courses, there's going to be a variation of readings. There'll be videos to watch. There's typically a quiz for each section that you're in. That's going to just kind of make sure that you're understanding the information everything that you're learning. There's usually a module graded assignment for each of those modules or each of those sections, depending on which course that you're applying for. There is a final exam that you'll take before completing your certification as well. And then of course, for the 150 and the 180-hour courses, those also include the practicum. Any other questions that I can help everyone out with? I see a question about working at your own pace and clarifying which of the courses so that you can do that with. And so to clarify for that, our 150 hour, our 180 hour, and our 30-hour course certifications or certification courses, those ones are going to be, they're all essentially work at your own pace, but those ones are actually going to have weekly deadlines that you have to meet, and you cannot fall behind. If you fall behind, there are late submission penalties. So those you'll have to stick with. But our 60-hour course, that one is going to be, we open it up on day one, and 6 months later, that course is going to close. It's up to you in those 6 months to complete those assignments, quizzes, and readings. We will check in on you, making sure that you're on track, but it's very much self-paced, and there is no personal tutor where there's weekly sessions or anything included in there. All right. Well, thank you everybody so much for joining us today. I was, it's wonderful to kind of learn a little bit about those that are interested in getting TEFL certified, what their future plans are for that. So we hope you'll join again, and we hope to have more, maybe specialized webinars as well about the information. But as always, please reach out to us if you've got any questions. We're always happy to chat and discuss things with you. Thank you so much.